Welcome everyone. We'll start the webinar in a couple of minutes as we are expecting more attendees to join in. Thank you so much. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We'll start the webinar in just 1 more minute. We are expecting more attendees to join in. Thank you. Right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you're connecting from. Welcome to yet another exciting Citrix Ready technical webinar, where we showcase how Citrix and our partners like Gemalto here with us today have integrated to deliver valuable products and solutions to common problems faced by our customers. I'm Anil Kumar, your host today, and I'm Citrix Ready Technical Marketing Manager, leading and managing the partners in the network and security ecosystem space. I've been with Citrix for a little close to 3 years now, and prior to Citrix, I had the opportunity to work with Fujitsu and HP, managing some medium and large-scale Citrix infrastructures. So we have Gemalto with us today. They have been our partners for a really long time and have some exciting identity and access management products. And today we'll see how Gemalto can help centrally manage secure access to Citrix infrastructure and also other third-party apps using a single platform. And to present that and to provide more details around that, we have our main speaker today. Hi, Amanda. Welcome to the webinar. Could you provide a brief introduction about yourself, please?
Absolutely. So hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Rogerson. I'm a part of the product marketing team here at Gemalto, focusing on our enterprise and cybersecurity products. I've been with Gemalto for 4 years, and I've had a number of different roles within the organization, starting from technical support, going to product management, now on the product marketing side. I'm very familiar with the integrations that we have with Citrix, and we do value Citrix as a very strong partner of ours in terms of integration. And I'm very much looking forward to sharing today with you how we can provide some access policies and access management and strong authentication to further enhance the deployments that you have with Citrix products, and show you how the joint solution can help you address a lot of the issues that are facing organizations today.
Great, exciting to have you here with us, Amanda. Thank you so much for that introduction. Could we move to the next slide, please?
Absolutely.
All right, so before we move on, and before I hand it over to Amanda to talk about Gemalto and its products, I kind of wanted to provide a brief overview of what Citrix Ready is. So Citrix Ready is an technology partner program where we showcase and recommend third-party products, solutions, and services that demonstrate compatibility with Citrix's products. So we do thorough verification of all the third-party products which are compatible on Citrix, and we kind of showcase all these products in Citrix Ready Marketplace. That's like a one-stop shop for customers looking for products which are which have integration, which are compatible with Citrix's, and these are the products which Citrix recommends. So it provides that extra bit of validation to the customers to buy these products. So if you're interested to learn more about the Citrix Ready program, if you'd like to join the program, the links are shown on your screen. That should provide you more information, or you could always drop an email to citrixready@citrix.com. That's citrixready@citrix.com, and we'll be happy to assist you. We'll anyways be sharing these links to you in our follow-up emails. So we are very proud to have Gemalto with us here today. And without any further ado, I'll hand it over to Amanda. Just one housekeeping item. Should you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question panel and the GoToWebinar control panel to your right-hand side. I'll be monitoring all your questions, and we'll take it up after Amanda's presentation. So please welcome Amanda Rogerson once again, and Amanda, it's all yours.
Excellent. I think there's a little bit of a delay when I switch slides, so I'll try and make sure that I'm not talking ahead of myself. So again, thank you very much to our partner at Citrix there for arranging this joint webinar. We are very excited to talk to you today. In terms of agenda items, what I want to go over is a little bit of an introduction about who Gemalto is and what we offer, just for those of you that aren't familiar with our products and services. Talk a little bit about the joint solutions that we have that complement the Citrix solution. Tell you how in 5 easy steps you can actually deploy the Gemalto solutions alongside the Citrix environment, and how this helps you adhere to regulations and be compliant with security mandates. Why you should look at and consider SafeNet Trusted Access as a solution for your access management and authentication for your Citrix environment, as well as any other third-party applications, as we are an agnostic solution. What the benefits are of that joint solution that we offer, and how you would be able to sign up for a free trial, and where you can get some more information on our products and services. So I'll start today with just a brief introduction of Gemalto and the organization that I'm a part of. So we were established in 2006, and Gemalto has gone through an acquisition of a lot of different products and solutions over its history. The cybersecurity and the products that I'm going to be talking to you about today were acquired by Gemalto through an acquisition of a company called SafeNet. So that's why the products are called SafeNet, as it's the copyright. So I'll talk a little bit about the trusted access and the authentication platforms that we have. In terms of the key value proposition for our trusted access platform, it is an application, a platform that allows you to centrally manage and secure access to your applications in your environment through comprehensive access policies which leverage strong universal authentication. So SafeNet was the authentication leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 4 years in a row. So we do leverage that strong security background with the solutions that I'm going to be talking to you about today. One of the reasons that customers do choose to buy our products and solutions are that we do have that strong security history in terms of authentication options for multi-factor tokens within an environment. And now we've coupled that with a very powerful and very easy to use policy engine so that you can implement access policies within your environment to secure your applications further without inconveniencing your users. In terms of competitive delta, again, we're leveraging our very strong authentication history and the fact that we have a very versatile and strong policy engine that enables you to address a number of different use cases within your organization. And we provide it to you in a very easy to deploy cloud solution, so reducing total cost of ownership within your organization by implementing our solutions. And I'll explain a little bit more as we go through the presentation today on how we can do that and what we offer. A little bit more about Gemalto in terms of where we are and what we do. So we are a world leader in digital security, and we do serve across 6 markets. So financial services and retail, if you're familiar with bank cards and credit cards, we are a chip manufacturer within that product space. So we encrypt and provide all of the data that goes on the chips in those financial cards. In the mobile space, SIM cards that go into mobile devices, we provide the technology that goes behind the encryption and the data management on those SIM cards. When you think of the Internet of Things, smart devices, we're providing a lot of technology and solutions, again, so that those communication methods can be secure. In the government space, we're looking at federal identities, things like driver's license and passports, and we're able to encrypt the data that's going into those identification methods at the government level. In software monetization, we're securing monetary transactions, primarily in the financial district, but that does expand into other areas as well. And then my area of expertise is the enterprise and cybersecurity, where we're able to protect an environment from the edge to the core with our complete suite of products and solutions. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is the trusted access platform and the authentication solutions that integrate with partners such as Citrix. We are a globally based company, so we do have a very large footprint throughout the world. We have over 180 countries where our clients are based. We have offices all over the world with over 15,000 employees. I myself am based in Ottawa, Ontario in Canada, which is the R&D hub for our trusted access and authentication platform that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. Before I get into the solution that we're going to propose and the joint solution that Citrix and we offer, I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we know are being faced. So even us as Gemalto, we are a multinational company, we're very large, and we're very aware of how the IT perimeter is changing. So more and more organizations have remote workers, contract workers, satellite offices. It's not a case where you had sort of a centralized office that everybody came into every day. There's people working from home more regularly, and the business world is becoming a lot more flexible, and those perimeters are becoming very blurry. It used to be sort of the traditional use cases that we'd hear was that I have a VPN into my office that I need to protect for the occasional outside worker, to now being that we're deploying a lot of cloud applications, which means we're no longer behind our firewalls, and we're worried about the security on those cloud applications, and we're looking for solutions to protect those applications. And that's where the Citrix product suite and our product suite comes into play to help you offer some of that protections around that. And there's also the concerns at the user level, right? So your traditional user, if you go back in time, all they had to worry about was a user ID and a password. So they had their AD user ID and password. And I know when I started in the corporate world, I didn't even have to change my password. So we've seen this security around users sort of shifting as we've gone through that time in the business world where strong password policies were enforced because, the weak password of password 123 or my birthday or my kid's birthday was no longer seen as secure, and it was starting to be compromised. So we were seeing stronger password requirements, and then we're seeing password changes. And as all of this is changing, there's an increased load on IT help desk to actually help the users manage those passwords. And now that we're adopting more cloud applications, we're seeing that there is actually more passwords that a user needs to remember. So what we want to do is we want to provide solutions that alleviate some of that internal frustration for the IT help desk, alleviate a little bit of the load and a little bit of the cost, and provide some convenience to the users. But we also want to protect those users. So it used to be that threats were all from external sources, right? You would have brute force attacks and different things like that that were all coming from the outside. And now what we're seeing more and more in terms of breaches is we're seeing user identities are being compromised and stolen. And those attacks and those breaches are actually coming from inside networks based on trusted user identities. So we want to make sure that we have things in place to protect those users and your corporate resources. And then also with the changing landscape and how things are becoming more complex and cyber attacks are becoming more mainstream, or at least we're hearing about them in the news a whole lot more, there's increased compliancy and security regulations that are being introduced. If you're based in Europe, you're probably looking at how do you comply with GDPR. If you're based in the US and you deal with government, you're looking at how you comply with DFARS. If you're in healthcare, financial district, there's PCI, and healthcare, there's different regulations depending on what country you're in. So we're seeing more and more of this come up. And the more applications you have, the more complex it becomes to show that you're actually compliant with those regulations. So we want to provide you with solutions that allow you to provide reports and show and prove that you are compliant with these regulations while protecting your environment. So we want to make it easy for your users to engage and access their resources without compromising your security, and give you a centralized place where you can actually manage and report on all of your applications in a very easy to manage format. And that's where we come up with the joint solutions. Between Citrix and Gemalto, we offer you something that is going to be able to secure your IT boundaries. You're going to be able to implement strong multi-factor authentication, which could replace passwords. With our solution, you do still have the option to still leverage existing AD passwords or existing passwords within the environment and do a step up using a strong multi-factor token. We also are very mindful of that user experience. So I don't know about you guys, but when I come to the office, there's multiple resources that I need to log into. Being a development shop, we have Atlassian products, we have Citrix products that we sign into for ShareFile and document sharing, and a number of other applications internally that we use. And before we implemented our solution, I had a separate user identity and password for each one of those separate solutions. Now I have one identity that I use. I have a multi-factor token, and it allows me access to all of my resources. So I'll show you a little bit how our solution can offer that. For my IT team now, what they can do is they can essentially manage access policies across those resources. So by very simply integrating into our Trusted Access platform, they're able to apply access policies to all of the Citrix products that we use and other third-party applications that we use without having to go into each application, manage identities within each application, and manage security policies individually with each application. So we give a centralized spot. You can also define what authentication method you use. So do you want to continue using passwords, or do you want to step up your authentication and use a multi-factor token, which provides a secure one-time password that's unique? What are your business use cases? We know that no business environment is the same. Everybody has different use cases. Everybody has different variations. Like I said, we see, and we'll talk a little bit through this webinar, some of the common use cases and how we can address them. And then I'll talk a little bit more as well about how we have the reports that help you adhere to those regulatory compliances. So as my friend mentioned, we have been a partner of Citrix for a very long time throughout the course of our lifespan. So we are verified as Citrix Ready. I'll talk how you can very easily integrate some Citrix products in 5 easy steps, apply access policies and multi-factor authentication in a very, very quick to deploy functionality. Our solution is hosted in the cloud, so what that means is that there is no investment in terms of infrastructure for an organization to adopt our solution. You can leverage existing identities within your organization and existing solutions as we do very quick and easy integrations with products and with existing infrastructures. We enable you to implement access policies that are based on use cases and based on scenarios so that you can deploy a single sign-on solution without compromising security. And one of the problems with traditional single sign-on that uses an AD username and password is it kind of gives the keys to the castle. If that user's identity gets compromised, then that compromised identity could then be used to access all of the corporate resources. So what we do is we give you the ability to implement single sign-on while implementing multi-factor authentication, which requires an OTP instead of an AD password. So it means that every time that user logs in, they have a unique identity, a unique password where they're accessing that resource. And I'll talk to you about some of our authentication methods that we have available as we go through. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk to you about the 5 easy steps to get started and to integrate with the Citrix environment using our solution. So we'll start with leveraging your existing corporate identities. Okay. Most organizations, they have an Active Directory, it's sort of the common one, or they have an Oracle database, or they have some user store where all of their identities for all of their users are based. With our solution, what we do is we have a simple lightweight agent that integrates with your existing directory of users. We pull that data and we securely encrypt it and transmit that up to the cloud platform that we host. When that identity gets to our cloud platform, we have automated policies that then determine what type of authentication method that user gets based on their group membership. So in terms of the user management and lifecycle management around tokens and authenticators, it's completely automated. You add a user into Active Directory, and within 20 minutes, they're going to get an email that says, please enroll your token for access into the environment. When you remove a user from that Active Directory, their permissions are revoked and they no longer have access to those resources. So it becomes very easy with a few simple clicks to actually manage the user lifecycle and the token lifecycle without having to manually hand out tokens and different things like that. We do have support for a broad range of authentication methods. The most commonly used authentication method is a software token, which is an application that either goes on a mobile device or on a desktop. That software application supports what we call out-of-band or push approval method. So what that means is it simplifies things even more for the user. Instead of them having to key in a password or key in a series of numbers for a one-time passcode, when they try to attempt to access a secured resource, it sends a notification to the software application, and the user has to click on an approve button, and then it will send the communication back to the authentication service and authenticate that user securely into the resource. The tokens can be protected using fingerprint biometrics on the phone device or by using a PIN code. So that means is that they can't approve unless they provide those secure factors. So it really is that two-factor authentication experience without the user having to input anything other than click a button on their phone. So a lot of users really like that solution. We do still have traditional environments that do still want to enforce the use of an AD password, and some environments want to enforce AD password and the use of an OTP token. So we can do combinations as well. And then we have other form factors available also. So some customers choose to implement a web-based token, which is a grid, where the customer puts in a pattern. There's hardware-based tokens, which are the traditional sort of dongle that has to be carried around that generates a code. And then we are always looking towards the future. So we are looking to expand this to incorporate Kerberos support for certificate-based authentication, as well as PKI. And we are also working with Microsoft to support the Windows Hello and working with the FIDO Alliance to be able to have those tokens. All of our tokens are very secure. For any of the listeners who may be based in the US, our tokens are FIPS validated to adhere to US regulations. And all of the cryptography on all of our tokens has a long-standing history as being award-winning in terms of security. So let's look at how we can take that user identity and that authentication method and very quickly integrate with Citrix products and other products. So we have developed templates to make it very easy. So I'm going to show you around 5 steps you can very quickly integrate with a couple of Citrix products. We do have a comprehensive library of applications. So we do feature the Citrix products, the ShareFile and the NetScaler. And then we do have a number of other integrations as well. Our library is ever growing. And we also support the ability to bring your own application. So if you have a SAML-based application that we don't have a template for, we do have a generic wizard that you can use to go through and do that integration as well. Let's talk a little bit about integrating the NetScaler gateway and how you would do that with our solution. So you would log into your NetScaler. You would create an authentication server. You would create an authentication policy, and you would assign that policy all within the NetScaler side. Then you would log into our Trusted Access platform, and you would input the URLs from NetScaler into the template. And the template would also provide you the details you would need to integrate into the NetScaler. And then you activate the application. So really within 4 very easy steps, you have that application configured to now leverage the multi-factor authentication within the product. And then you go in and you set up your access policies. By default, without doing anything on the system other than doing the integration, there's a global policy that's applied that offers that single sign-on experience to any integrated application. And depending on whether or not you choose multi-factor authentication, so an OTP or password, then that global policy immediately applies against any application that's configured. So if I integrate my NetScaler and I integrate my ShareFile, then I have a global policy that provides a unique experience. There's also a user portal that's created within the Trusted Access platform. So a user is provided with a URL. So instead of having to have a list of bookmarks for all of their different cloud applications, they now have one URL that they can access, and it gives them all of the configured applications. From the IT side, it's very easy to integrate these and then very quickly apply policies against those applications. At the bottom of the screen here, what you see is sort of a typical user workflow. So I would sign into my user portal. I would access the NetScaler Gateway app within my user portal. I get the authentication screen presented. So in this case, I have a push token. I would push the token out to my phone. I press approve on my phone, and it logs me in to the resource. Now, this is based on a policy that says I need to provide multi-factor authentication. It's a very similar workflow when you're looking at the ShareFile. So for ShareFile integration, it's a little bit different because of the configuration that's needed on the ShareFile side. But again, what you would do, you log into our Trusted Access platform and you download the certificate. You log into ShareFile as an administrator and you enable SAML in the ShareFile. You import our certificate into ShareFile. You obtain the URL from ShareFile, you input that into Trusted Access, and that activates the application. And then you have the global policy applies, or you can set up unique policies for those applications. So we do support the full range of Citrix integrations, just highlighting the NetScaler and the SharePoint for you today, but we do have a number of integration guides, and it is all very simple and straightforward in terms of how to go through the configuration. Gemalto and Citrix products play very well together, and it is a very seamless integration. I want to talk to you a little bit about the scenario-based access policies that I've mentioned. So as I mentioned earlier, we want to implement security. Users want single sign-on. How do we find that balance, and how do we make sure that the right people are getting the right access at the right time? That's through implementing these access policies. So what you can do with these access policies is you can evaluate risk-based conditions. So I said you've got your global policy, which is sort of that the basic global SSO experience. But we want to be able to take a look at, is the user coming from inside or outside the network? And do I want to have a different experience for the user, or do I need to implement different controls around that access depending on where it's coming from, if it's inside or outside my network? With the adoption of cloud and with everybody becoming mobile, there's more and more operating systems available for users to access things from. We know that mobile devices can be seen as less secure, so you can actually set up policies based on iOS and Android, Windows or Mac, and you can set stronger policies around those specific operating systems to require access. You could even say that, hey, you know what, you're not going to be able to access ShareFile on your mobile device, so I'm going to deny that access. That's another use case that we see. And then we think about user location. So if you're a global organization, you may not want to put any restrictions based on geographic location. However, if you're an organization that only does business in, we'll say Canada, because that's where I'm from, I could set up a policy that would actually only grant access for a user if they're coming from Canada and deny access for any access attempts that are coming from outside of my country. So you really get to start to look at and tailor these access policies based on your business use cases. So you can set different authentication methods depending on where the user is coming from. If they're inside the environment, you can still use the AD password, but if they're coming in from outside, they use a multi-factor authentication method. You can have different policies for groups of users. You can have different policies for sensitive applications. So if we take the example, if I set up the NetScaler, maybe a global policy is fine, and I'm okay with you logging into NetScaler with my AD password. But when I'm accessing ShareFile, I have some really sensitive corporate resources in ShareFile, so I'm actually going to put in an OTP and require the step-up authentication method. So it allows you that flexibility to implement some of those security policies, and rather than having to go in on a per-app basis, you're able to do everything through the centralized console. So if you think of sort of traditionally, you would have to log into each application, apply policies, and manage them on a per-app basis. And then we have the user portal. So again, with the user experience in mind, we want to make this very easy for them to adopt and implement. So instead of having a URL bookmark for each one of these different applications, I have one URL. And that URL gives me my list of all of my applications that I can then select. And then based on the policies that are applied, it's going to determine what factors of authentication I need to provide to get into that app. So to sign into this portal, I use my AD username and password. When I access my ShareFile resource, I have to provide an OTP in order to be able to gain access to ShareFile. But if I access Office, because I'm inside my network, it accepts the fact that I've already provided an AD username and password, and it allows me just into Office without re-authenticating or providing any additional information. Salesforce is another app that we have sensitive information in, so I have to do both an AD password as well as a multi-factor token. So you can see how you can really specify based on application what type of authentication methods are provided, and it's all centrally managed. So my IT doesn't have to set separate policies for each one of those applications. My NetScaler gateway, if I'm at home, I need to provide an OTP, but in the office, I just provide an AD password. So it is very scalable, and the prompts on the screen really let the user know what they need to provide. The last step is monitoring and reporting and adjusting, right? So once you've set up your applications all in one source, you get a visual dashboard that lets you know the access attempts. So what this does is very quickly and easily lets you see if there are a higher number of failed attempts, which could indicate an attack against your systems. And it allows you to export this data out into external SIM systems for alerting purposes. You can monitor this, and you can adjust your policies as necessary, and it applies to all of the application, and it's a centralized source. So if you think of traditionally, I would have had to log into each one of my applications to run reports, to provide to my auditor to show them that I am compliant with the security mandates that I need to adhere to. This gives me a centralized place where I can pull up a dashboard and show them I have security policies in place, and here's the access. And then if you go into the events area of the interface, it actually gives you more detail on a per user basis and a per app basis on what the access attempts are. So you can get some very granular reporting out of the system. And of course, this allows you to adhere and comply with the different regulations. Especially if you combine our solutions with the Citrix product suite, you get a complete solution that enables you to adhere with any mandated regulations within your industry. So we feel that our TrustBox platform has a superior policy engine. It's very easy and very simple to set up. I've got a number of different users that have given me testimonials that say that it's incredibly simple to manage all of their applications. They like the fact that we have universal authentication methods. So in some user environments, they will have different types of users. They'll have knowledge workers, or they'll have users that won't install software tokens on their mobile devices, or they don't have corporate phones. So because we have flexible token options, the solution is very attractive to them. And then the risk management engine that runs in the back end allows you to look and do that context aware and address your policies based on conditional access into resources, and implement step-up authentication where you need to within your environment without sort of the traditional method where it's either multi-factor is on or off on your resources. You get a lot of flexibility with the solution that we provide. Just to start wrapping up in terms of the key benefits of a joint solution, with Citrix and Gemalto, you can secure everything. So you can do your local and remote network access and virtualized applications. If you have third-party applications that are cloud-based that support SAML, we can add protection and access policies around them. We do both offer cloud solutions, so it becomes very easy for organizations to implement and very quickly deploy solutions without having a lot of overhead or infrastructure investment. And then you can also deploy our solution without changing your existing architecture. So you don't need to create new identities. It's all cloud-based, and you're able to very quickly and seamlessly integrate with the Citrix products as well as other products without having to change much within your existing infrastructure. So it's very easy if you're interested in signing up for a trial. There is a 30-day trial, which comes with 10 OTP options for the tokens, so you can test them out. You'll have access to the single sign-on experience, the templates. We bill on a user subscription basis, so we don't bill on a per app basis, so you can have as many applications integrated as you want. We just look at the number of users, and it gives you access to everything that I've shown you today and talked about. So there is a URL for that you can access. And if you are interested in learning more about the Gemalto product suite and solutions that we do have some videos that are very informative, as well as different reports and solution briefs. As well, on the Citrix Marketplace, there are resources and links to information about the access management solutions that we have to offer you guys. So I do encourage you to check it out. And if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us and ask. We have a broad support structure that is here to help you guys with your implementations and address any questions that you have with that implementation. That was all the content. I did want to make sure that I left enough time at the end here for question and answers. So we'll open it up. Anil, if there's any questions in the chat.
Yes, Amanda, we do have a few questions. A great presentation, and I think a lot of insights shared, and very exciting product when it comes to the STA, and now it being a cloud offering. So a lot of key benefits to offer. So moving to the questions. We have one from Brian Davis. He asks, does your solution handle I-Series UNIX authentication?
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit, Anil. It was ICE, was that?
So the question is the I-Series UNIX authentication.
Off the top of my head, I can't say yes, but we do support a broad variety of third-party authentication methods, and that is always expanding. So we would have to look into that, and I might have to table that question and come back to you on that one specifically.
No problem. We could always get back to these questions over emails as well. So that's okay. So the next question is which NetScaler editions are supported?
So always the latest and greatest, right? But we do have integration support for NetScaler 11, 10, and of course 12.
Right. So I remember validating the STA with NetScaler 12.0. So it is validated with and supported with the latest version of our NetScaler.
Yeah. And then I think as well, the NetScaler 12 has the SAML support. I think NetScaler 11 also has SAML support, but I don't believe that's in NetScaler 10. However, we do still have integrations with those older versions of the platform as well via Radius.
All right. So we started the SAML support starting NetScaler 10.5. Right, so it does, the SAML support is available since 10.5 to all our current versions. So quite a lot of questions. Let me just move on to the next one. So do newly created users and Active Directory get pushed to the integrated cloud services automatically?
Yep. So for the user creation, if you're using the LDAP synchronization agent, as soon as the user is added into Active Directory, that synchronization agent generally runs on a schedule every 20 minutes, but you can set it up to run more frequently depending on what your preference is. So as a user is added into Active Directory, based on that schedule, it's created in the cloud. You do have other options for user creation as well. If you don't want to do that method, you can leverage APIs to do user creation, or you can manually create users if that is what you wanted to do. So there's a number of different options.
Great. So there's a question on when the safe on when would be the SafeNet authentication service, the on-premise version with push OTP supporting be released?
So that is a very interesting question. So currently push is supported in our cloud solution, but we do also have an on-prem solution for customers who choose to self-host rather than using our cloud service. The on-prem solution is sometimes a little bit feature behind our cloud offering. The push technology is one of those pieces of technology that depends heavily on our infrastructure. We are looking to actually have that support in place for on-prem by the beginning of Q4. So I think September-October timeframe, where that push functionality is going to be introduced for our customers who have on-premise solutions implemented.
Great.
The access policy engine that I spoke about today, though, that is a cloud-only offering, at least for this year.
Right. So with the cloud, with the shift to the cloud, I'm pretty sure most of the customers are kind of looking for that option, and also customers who do not want to kind of move to the cloud would still want all these offerings to be available on-prem. So we right. So a couple of users have asked if the products which you presented today would work only with Citrix, or do they work with can it work independently without Citrix for other applications and web services?
Yeah, so it definitely can work independently. As I said, it is an agnostic solution. Citrix is an integration partner of ours, which we value very highly. So we've tried to make integration with Citrix products very easy and seamless. However, our product doesn't rely on the Citrix platforms, so it is an agnostic solution. But we are very strong partners.
That's right. So I think this one's a follow-up question to the earlier one. So do the newly created users in Active Directory get created in the integrated Google Apps, Office 365, Salesforce, etc.?
Yeah, so we don't write the users into those platforms. However, I know that those platforms all do have integration support generally with a user directory store. So when you create a user in Active Directory and you have, say, Office 365 tied to that Active Directory, that identity is created in both the Office 365 and our application. So it is a single user identity across those platforms. Same applies with Salesforce, right? It is generally based on a global identity or tied into a user store. So we don't write to those applications, but we leverage the same identities.
All right. And Amanda, how's the support or how does the integration work with users who have kind of started using the Azure Active Directory, which is a cloud service?
So we can definitely support the Azure instance. It's a slightly different configuration, just simply to be able to transmit the data from Azure AD into our cloud platform. It does require that there's an externally externally facing engine somewhere where the synchronization agent can live and have outward communication, but that is definitely something that can be supported.
Great. All right. So, there's one question specific to Citrix. So during the presentation, you kind of mentioned how easy it is to integrate with NetScaler using the SAML and also with the ShareFile. How about the integrations with our Synapse and Zen desktop products without NetScaler in place?
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit for me. Can you repeat the question?
Of course. Could you provide some information on how to configure Gemalto with our Synapse and Zen desktop product line?
Oh, absolutely. So we actually have a integration guide. So I know I didn't talk about that specifically today. I highlighted the NetScaler and the ShareFile as they're sort of the most commonly adopted by a lot of the users that I've worked with personally. But we do have those integrations with the entire Zen product family. Whether it's a radius integration, you can apply our multi-factor authentication in front of that product line as well. And all of those documents, our integration documents, are on our public website. So they can be accessed if you go into the Gemalto website and go under the support area. And we're happy to provide those links to you as well.
Right, sounds great. And how does the pricing work? Could you provide some details on the pricing?
Yeah, I touched on that very briefly, and I apologize for not going into more detail. So the way that our pricing works is there's a per user pricing. So we base it on number of seats or user capacity, and it is a subscription model. We don't charge on a per app basis or a per integration basis or anything like that. So our service does support multiple applications. We can also support multiple identities per user. So you're not paying extra for multiple identities per user. And with our subscription model, you get an included authentication method, whether you choose that to be a software token or a hardware token, that's included. And when you get or purchase the Trusted Access platform that I was showcasing for you today, that actually includes all of the authentication methods and a broader solution set than what I was showcased for you today. Our solution also includes support, so support is included in the price. I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you about pricing. If you are interested in a quote, our teams are happy to provide that information based on the number of users that you have in your environment.
Sounds great, Amanda. So one. I think this is the last question we'll take up today, and this is kind of important because the question is how do you differentiate or what are the unique capabilities which Gemalto offers from the rest of the competition?
Excellent question. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we have a very strong history within the authentication and as a trusted security vendor. Our product's ability to be flexible, to fit in and address business needs within an organization is something we value very highly. We see ourselves as a security partner. We're not just a vendor. We want to work with you and your organization, and we have a couple of joint engagements with Citrix as well, where we will go through a complete implementation of a solution that's really going to enable organizations to put strong security policy in place and lower the impact on help desk and end users. So the user experience is highly important to us, and making it easy to implement is also something that is important to us. Within Gemalto, we have a very strong team of professional services resources that help with initial engagements. We have a worldwide support structure, so we offer 24/7 support to all of our customers, and that's something else that's included in the subscription model.
Sounds really exciting, Amanda, and thanks for all the insights provided. I see some questions from a few attendees asking if the webinar is being recorded and if it would be shared. To answer that question, yes, we will share the recording with all the attendees and registrants of today's webinar within a day or two to your registered email addresses. And with that said, we are about to end today's webinar. I want to take a moment to thank Amanda for this fantastic presentation and sharing great insights with us. Any final thoughts, Amanda?
Just thank you guys very much for your time and attention today. I know that the IT world is changing. We're seeing a huge digital transformation across businesses, and I strongly feel that both Citrix and Gemalto should be a preferred vendor for you as you look at deploying solutions within your environment. We're both here to help, and we both have strong backgrounds in the industry and providing solutions to customers. So thank you very much for the time and the opportunity today.
Great, Amanda. Thank you very much for that. Last but not the least, I want to thank each and every one of you who attended it, who took some time to attend today's webinar. I'm sure you had a lot to take away, and I see you at the next webinar in our Citrix Ready Technical Webinar series. And this shall conclude our broadcast for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.